Hi, welcome to this edition of the 13th Floor Uptown Lowdown. I'm Marty Duda.
And I'm Jamila Ross Hayes.
And we're going to tell you all about the stuff that we covered last week on the 13th floor with live music and new releases and stuff, and what to catch this following week.
Yeah, exciting.
Yes,
Always exciting stuff.
So one of the concerts that I went to last week was Tiny Ruins.
Awesome.
Holly Folbrook is her name. She goes by Tiny Ruins. She's been doing it for 10 years. So she was celebrating the 10th anniversary of her debut album, which is called Some Were Meant for C. And it was at the Whammy Bar of all places. I was kind of surprised because usually it's louder in the Whammy Bar and she's pretty quiet. But it worked out pretty well. It was just her solo. One of her bandmates, Kaz Basil, her bass player, was in the audience supporting her. And we got some photos that you can see. So everybody, I think she sold out both nights.
That's really awesome as a solo artist to sell out Whammy. Yeah.
Yep. But she should. She's good.
Yeah, she's good.
She's been around a while. She's
her.
done the job. So it's good to see her out and about. Yeah. So that was, I went on Wednesday night, I believe it was.
Cool.
But she also played Thursday night. And on Thursday, you went to?
I went to Conan Mockinson at the Hollywood Avondale.
How was that?
I honestly, I didn't know what I was in for. I've never listened to his music before. I just went along and was by myself as well and sort of opened the doors. I've never even been to the Hollywood Avondale.
What'd you think?
What a lovely venue.
Isn't it nice?
I felt like stepping back in time a little bit, and I kind of went and sat next to these people I didn't know in the audience, and Conan Mockinson was, I don't even really know what to say about it.
He's a strange bird.
Yeah. It was so strange, and I left immediately first thinking I didn't really like it, but then I was thinking about it so much, and it was so interesting to me that I thought he's done, there's nothing like him in the music scene at the moment.
That's a fact.
And he must be somewhat doing something right, because he's playing to an audience of 200-300 people.
And he's extremely popular overseas. When I talk to people, musicians overseas, when I say, oh, I'm in New Zealand, they go, oh, do you know Conan Mockinson?
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, we know who he is.
And it was an interesting show. There was an episode that played beforehand that he'd made with some of his friends.
Oh.
It was so weird and so wacky, and his music was just so interestingly quiet. It was just him on stage with his guitar, his full suit and a glass of wine. And there was lots of bird noises and
of course there were
all kinds of things. Yeah, but it was very interesting. I'm glad I went. I went.
So then on Friday night, I went to the Ministry of Folk. Did this thing called Bob Dylan's $1 Million Birthday Bash.
Yeah.
So Bob turned 80 a little while ago, but they finally got around to putting this thing together, and it was at the Guide Hall in Mount Eden. Very lovely little venue. Yeah. So it was kind of odd, because I think they sold it out. So there's 100 people there. So they had folding chairs set up and facing the big stage.
Yeah.
And so the main band was on the stage, but then there was another stage directly behind everybody.
Yeah.
So the way it worked was everybody had to swivel. So you'd watch two songs on front stage, then everybody turned their seats around, and you watch another song or two on the backstage, turn back around. This went on for 2 hours the whole night.
Wow.
And you would have thought that's not going to work, but it actually did.
I mean, I guess it keeps people interested in feeling like they're watching a new thing when it's all Bob Dylan.
Well, and so the people who were performing, in addition to the kind of house band called Hoop, Kendall Elise was there, who I'm a big fan of hers. Emma Wallum, who I hadn't heard before. She's also a comedian, but she sang a beautiful couple of tunes. Sam Loveridge was there. He did one of my favorite tunes tonight, because I feel like I know everything about Bob. But he did a song I was completely unfamiliar with. It was called Bill 4. So, which is from the Pat Garrett.
I've never heard of that before.
Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid soundtrack from 1969.
Oh, cool.
And it was actually a really good song. I thought all the stuff other than the hit from that was just junk, but no, this was really good.
I've seen Sam Loveridge before opening for the Rooms.
And Kendall Elise did a beautiful version of Forever Young, so that was a highlight as well. Sadly, Bernie Griffin was supposed to be there, but he was unwell, so Kirsten, his partner, showed up and sang Rainy Day Women number 12 and 35 instead. So that was that. So they did some swiveling. So then we swivel on to the Subliminals, which is a Flying Nun group. I caught a little bit of them at the Flying Nun 40th show, which whet my appetite for more, because I only saw 5 minutes of them. So I went down to the Wine Cellar on Saturday night. It was very loud. I would have thought they would have been in the whammy, but that's all right.
Oh, it is what it is.
It was the 4 original guys. Let's see, there's Stephen Ray, Simon McLaren, Jared Johansson on bass, and the drummer is Brendan Moran. And the rhythm section is just amazing. They're heavily influenced by krautrock. Do you know what krautrock is?
I've heard
Kraftwerk
of that
and very metronomic kind of rhythm section. And just lots of guitar all over the place. People loved it. I was surprised because it was just them. They played for 2 hours and nobody left.
Oh, wow.
They were just like mesmerized.
That's pretty
and,
impressive.
And I get the feeling it was like their last gig in a while. 'Cause
Yeah.
they just kind of got together for this 40th thing and liked playing so much they wanted to do a whole thing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it was definitely worth showing
that's
up.
good to see.
So yeah, so that was last week's shows.
Nice. And now we're going to look at the new album of the week, which is Duran Jones and the Indications. with
Duran
Private
Jones,
Space. Yeah. Pretty cool album cover. My favorite song is probably With You. They got a cool video out for that as well, and I think that was their single.
Yeah,
so
it's the newest
makes
single,
sense
yes,
that
I
it's
believe
like,
it is,
you know,
yeah.
the crowd favorite.
Yep.
And you did an interview with them.
I did. I thought I was just going to talk to Duran, and then it was one of these Zoom interviews, and I ended up with 3 of the guys,
Yeah.
including this guy here, Aaron Frazier, who's
Cool.
the drummer in the band, but he's also a solo artist of his own.
That's cool.
So that's kind of cool. So I had Duran Jones, Aaron Frazier, and the guitar player, his name is Blake Reens, talking to me. And so we'll play a little bit of because the whole interview is on the 13th floor, but I'll play a snippet because they're talking about how their sound has changed. I think this is their 3rd album.
Yeah.
And it's this kind of smooth soul thing going
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
a lot of falsetto and thing, but it's a little different than what they've been doing before.
Cool, let's check it out.
Yeah, I think fans of our last 2 records will definitely notice a more polished and kind of more of late 70s sound than our earlier records. And there's definitely a element of disco as well as like more contemporary influences, like contemporary R&B or even some 90s R&B influences. So yeah, it's definitely a little bit more varied in terms of like our influences on this record.
Right. And did you guys have a discussion about any kind of change in sound, or was it just an organic thing that happened within the band?
I think it was a really organic thing that happened. It's just our records, I think, have always been dictated by our listening habits, and our listening has shifted over the years.
Right.
And I think on this record too, we wanted to put more of our like full picture of who we are, not just as a revival band. Like I don't think this is a revival record.
Right.
So not only forefront, that we've been listening to disco and modern and Euro groove, Italian stuff, but also that we love, hip hop and pop music and all the things that are happening today.
Yep, so that was my chat with Duran Jones and the Indications, our favorite album of the week, or one of them. And
there's quite a few good ones.
Speaking of favorites, you have a favorite track?
I think With You is probably my favorite.
With You?
Yeah.
Gesundheit. Sorry, that's a joke. Shall we ignore the jokes and play the song?
I think so.
Okay. Now we have our new single of the week, because we get bombarded with singles every week. And we always pick a new song every day on the 13th floor. One of them was by Holly Smith.
Cool.
So it's been a while for old Holly. It's good to see her out and about again. I think she's got her 4th album coming out later this year. It's her first new music in about 5 years.
Wow.
So the song is called Come In From the Dark.
Yeah.
And we saw her, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, let's watch a little bit of this new single of the week from Holly Smith.
Yeah, we also saw Holly at Fat Freddy's Drop, the film screening of their new album last
That's right.
week.
We made our debut as a co-hosting. I will say couple. Out it was at the Newmarket Cinema.
Yeah.
And so Fat Freddy's Drop have a new album coming out.
Yeah, Waidonga.
And so they filmed a live performance. So the album is a live performance, from what I gathered.
Yeah.
And so they had multi-cameras there set up, and
it was stunning. I think it was really well filmed, and they spoke about in the interview that it started to rain like halfway through filming, and they weren't expecting it to happen. But they said that it created this sort of like mood that they weren't expecting, and you can see that throughout the film. Exactly. It just slowly gets darker and darker and starts to rain, and I don't know, it was really nice to see it in that setting. It was nice to sit on big screen,
too.
Big
screen.
So
we saw it on this big screen, and I guess they had it available for a couple of days. You could watch it at home. I assume that it will be available when the album comes out on the 20th. But I did get to sit down with a couple of guys in Fat Freddy's. So Scott Towers, who's known as Chopper Reeves, and Mark Williams, who's MC Slave. You did some fine camera work for me, thank you. And we'll hear what they have to say. Here they are talking about the musical side of things and how they've kind of evolved and what to expect from the new album. New songs,
primarily new songs. So we'd actually had like a really productive period of writing and playing together down in Wellington, and we've got a studio down there.
Yep.
And then we sort of, before we knew it, we sort of had 8 new songs that we thought, oh wow, it's all just evolved very quickly.
Right.
And then of course we had to play Waironga Blues, which is an older Freddie's tune, written about our experiences there. So we had to play that one,
of course,
and name the album accordingly.
Yep.
Yeah. It was exciting for us to sort of hear these new pieces of music out fully fledged, and for the first time, really.
So that was my little chat with the guys from Fat Freddy's Drop.
Cool.
What'd you think of the music?
I thought it was awesome. I thought every single song was slightly different from the last, especially when it began. I think watching it as a film added to the magicalness of it, but I'll definitely be checking it out when it gets released on August the 20th.
Cool. Alrighty. Well, that's it for the part 1 of the show.
Yeah.
We'll see you on the other side.
Cool.
All right, we're back here at the 13th Floor Uptown Lowdown, and time for some live shows this week. What are we going to see? What's the first one up?
Lily Van Buskirk, Annabelle Lee, and Manuela at the Wine Cellar. My look on Under the Radar says that their genre is digital angel core and
what is
pop
that?
rock. I have no idea. But from what I checked out, it sort of, to me, sounded like quite EDM. Like digital is definitely a good way of describing it.
Right.
Sounds really interesting.
All right, so that's Wednesday. And on Thursday, I see Lips is going to be at Neck of the Woods.
Cool.
So Lips have been up here before, Steph Brown and Finn. And so they have a new album out. It came out a couple of months ago called I Don't Know Why I Do Anything.
Mm-hmm. Pretty relatable.
and Steph's been busy doing all sorts of things with other people, so it'd be good to see her and Finn doing their own thing at Neck of the Woods. Always a good show.
Cool.
I highly recommend it. Something else happening on Thursday I think you're kind of excited about.
Yeah, Spacey Jane at the Power Station. Pumped for that one. I think our friends Park Road are actually opening for them, which is such a good gig for those guys. They've been doing really well as well. But yeah, I haven't seen Spacey Jane before, but listened to a lot of their music and really excited to see them live.
Cool. And then Friday, Kane Strang will be at the Whammy. His most recent album is called Happy to Perform, so apparently he's going to be happy to perform for us
he
at
better
the
be.
Whammy. And he's got quite a band with him. Guy Peter Riddell, who we've talked to before, he's in Wax Chattels and Sulfate, so he's going to be playing keyboards there. A guy named Leith Towers and Mitchell Innes and Gussie Larkin from Mermaidens is going to be there in Earth Tongue. So it's kind of an all-star band.
Yeah.
So I'll definitely kind of catch that one.
Looks exciting. And on Saturday we have Ben and Brody and The Dawn and Sandtrap at Cassette 9.
Again, what the heck?
Very interesting because I feel like, again, that Saturday gig and that Wednesday gig almost could be switched around. I feel like Ben and Brody would be better at the Wine Cellar and those other guys at Cassette 9. From what I checked out, it looks like they're a duo still in high school, sort of like killing it in Smoke-Free Rockcrest. Kind of imagines a lot of me when I was a kid.
If I'm not mistaken, I saw the show starts at 7:30.
I wouldn't be surprised.
At Cassette 9, because they'll probably have to be in bed by 9.
But it looks like they're doing really well at what they're doing and playing a lot of gigs for their age. So, why not start early?
All right, so there's some good stuff there. We'll have reviews and photos on the 13th floor once they do their thing.
Yeah. All right, and now we're going to do a special mention of up-and-coming artist of the week. This week is Manuela, who's actually a good friend of mine. She is just released her single Te Vas.
1 minute dices que ya no me quieres, en return lamentando a mistake, oh no. La verdad es que eres egoísta, tus mensajes ignoras, not playing hard to get, baby, cayó laces, oh no.
Which was out last week on Spotify and all the other platforms.
Right.
And she'll be doing a gig on August the 13th with Mackenzie, Grace, and Chris Bates.
Oh, what kind of music is it?
Really interesting, sort of like pop, like Latina pop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds cool.
Got a bit of Spanish, bit of English. Definitely check it out. It's a good one.
Alrighty. I love new music. There's a lot of new artists popping
Yeah.
around. I think we're going to be doing quite a few up and coming. Now, speaking of up and coming, we have 2 up and coming new albums that are coming out this Friday
Yeah,
that I want to
exciting.
highlight. One by a guy named Age Pryor, who is a local guy. Actually, he's from Wellington, so he's not that local.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Still New
you probably
Zealand.
know him from his work with Fly My Pretties.
Yeah.
He I think founded the Wellington Ukulele Orchestra.
Oh, wow.
And he did a lot of the music for Eagle versus Shark.
Yeah.
So he's been around a while, been doing some cool things. He's got a new album out called Invisible Lines. And we're going to play a little bit of the title song. It's kind of singer-songwriting, mellow stuff.
Awesome.
So let's give it a listen.
Back to earth as a holiday ends. The kids in the back of the old Mercedes-Benz. The picnic table was a sad affair. Amongst the crumbs and dirty plates, I left you crying there.
Okay, that was new music from Age Pryor. I've got another new album for you. And
Cool.
I don't know if you know
Double whammy.
Ellen Foley or not. She's 70.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's probably why I don't know it.
But you probably do know her because you probably heard Paradise by the Dashboard Lights by Meatloaf. You know,
Potentially.
it's the
Not by
it's
name,
the one
but-
Meatloaf song everybody knows where he's yelling and screaming and there's like a duet, and so she's the female voice in
Yeah.
it. And that was back in the 70s. Anyway, she's got a solo album out, and it's called Fighting Words.
Yeah.
And it's a real rocker of an album. I know her because my favorite band is Mott the Hoople, whose lead singer Ian Hunter, she did a lot of solo work with him,
cool.
background singing and stuff. So anyway, so I got the chance to interview Ellen Foley to talk about this new album, Fighting Words. And one of the things that we talked about, in addition to the new album, was Jim Steinman, who is the guy who wrote all the Meatloaf stuff and the Paradise. And he just passed away a little while ago. So I asked her what it was like to work with and what kind of guy Jim Steinman was.
Jim is an enigma, but what you do know about him is great because he's hilarious and he's super generous, you know. He gives everybody nicknames. I was Funky. Ellen Funky. That's how he would say, ooh, Funky. And very generous. He was a genius, obviously, but, you didn't feel like you were talking to a genius. You just felt like you were talking to your friend Jim. He was in the studio, very creative. He would, I say creative, but the artist, the singer, didn't have a lot of leeway because Jim always knew exactly what he wanted.
Right.
I think Jim came out of the womb knowing exactly what he wanted.
All right, so that was my little chat with Ellen Foley. I think we need to hear some music from her.
Yeah,
Like I said,
so.
the new album is called Fighting Words. Now, in the thing about Paradise by the Dashboard Lights was Ellen Foley was the vocalist, but in the video for it, she wasn't available, so they got another woman to be her.
Oh, cool.
Who was also a relatively well-known singer back then, named Carla DeVito.
Oh, yeah.
So everybody knows Carla DeVito as the face behind the song, but her voice.
Her voice is on
So
it.
now the two of them have come together.
Oh,
So
that's
Ellen
good.
invited Carla to be on her new album, and so they do a kind of thing together, which is a song called "I'm Just Happy to Be Here," which all of us over 65 are, including Ellen. So it's good. She sounds great. And we'll go out with that. This is new music from Ellen Foley.
Cool. See you next week.
See ya. Bye-bye.
I didn't know what I was doing. It didn't matter anyway. I've been right and I've been ruined.
The walls